Please, if we can take your seats. We're going to start in 1 minute. Dear colleagues, please take your seats. So welcome all to the opening of the Investment Forum of the Hand in Hand Initiative. It is a pleasure for us as FAO to host all of you today in this amazing meeting where we're trying to bring all the different players that will help us to do the transformation and transition of the agri-food systems that we need to be able to achieve zero hunger, but at the same time to be sustainable. My name is Máximo Torero Calen. I am the Chief Economist of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, and I have the honor to welcome you at the opening of this forum. Let me start with a small video that will show what we are trying to do with the Hand in Hand initiative. Please, if you can play the video.
Hand in Hand is a flagship FAO initiative designed to accelerate the transformation of agri-food systems by delivering on the Sustainable Development Goals through the eradication of poverty, ending hunger and reducing inequalities. With 66 countries already members, the Hand in Hand initiative has become a beacon of hope for millions, targeting regions of the world where poverty and hunger are at their highest. How does the initiative work? It uses a territorial approach, a geospatial platform with advanced data and analysis, innovative solutions, and the mobilization of financing. Hand in Hand is not just about economic growth, it's about holistic sustainable development, addressing economic, social, and environmental aspects simultaneously. By identifying key interactions, we ensure that our actions promote both financial prosperity and environmental stewardship. At the heart of the Hand in Hand initiative is investment planning that brings together governments, experts, and all other key stakeholders in agri-food systems. What are the steps involved? First, we collect different layers of geospatial information from the Hand in Hand geospatial platform to measure market access using raster analysis. Second, we measure agriculture potential by estimating stochastic profit frontiers that bring together prices of products, input prices and profits reported by farmers. The level of efficiency in agricultural profits is measured by controlling for land size, socio-economic characteristics, biophysical conditions and market access as estimated in the first step. Third, we quantify the level of efficiency relative to the agricultural potential estimated in the second step. Fourth, we combine steps 2 and 3 with poverty maps to prioritize interventions and develop the typology of micro-regions to be used for the prioritization of investments. Based on this analysis, we build a typology of micro-regions. Typology Honduras, for example. Hand in Hand focuses on the green areas where we know there is agricultural potential, with all our investment plans designed to resolve bottlenecks that farmers are facing in order to unleash their potential. By doing this, we can help farmers move out of poverty in a sustainable way. So, the result is investment plans that actually transform communities, strengthen local economies, and make them more sustainable. Tracking the effects of these new investments on greenhouse gas emissions and improving their design to further reduce carbon footprints is critical to achieving Agenda 2030 and the Paris Agreement, but also to attract climate finance. Using state-of-the-art models like the Exact Carbon Balance tool allows countries and investors to make informed decisions. With partnerships being crucial to success, the Hand in Hand initiative brings together a diverse group of stakeholders, including governments, donors, private enterprises, producer organizations, civil society, and research institutions. These partnerships are critical to implement our goals, from data analysis, technology and funding to capacity development. Because governance is about ensuring national ownership and leadership, the Hand in Hand initiative puts countries in the driver's seat. Country task force teams include government officials to ensure transparency and accountability. Through shared information platforms, Hand in Hand fosters coordination, mutual accountability, and enables timely problem solving. From empowering farmers in Angola to modernising agriculture in Bangladesh, the Hand in Hand initiative is already changing lives for the better all around the world. FAO's open access Hand in Hand geospatial platform is a key tool for digital agriculture transformation and rural development. To help support evidence-based policymaking, the initiative's Data Lab for Statistical Innovation fills the gaps in official statistics by extracting data from non-conventional sources and combining cutting-edge technologies including web scraping, text mining, geospatial data analysis, and artificial intelligence. But none of this is possible without the participation of private sector partners, bringing investments and know-how to areas where it is needed most. Join hands with FAO's Hand in Hand initiative and be part of the solution. Together, we can eradicate poverty, end hunger, and create a brighter future for all, leaving no one behind.
Dear Excellencies, dear colleagues, as you have seen, this is an initiative that brings hands together. We are bringing the governments, they are the ones leading and driving the initiative. We are bringing the private sector, the IFIs, international financial organizations, the MDBs, multilateral development banks, and the academia and civil society. This structure of the World Food Forum is not an accident. It has been led and designed by the Director General to try to bring all these pieces together, from the indigenous people to the youth, to the investors, to the private sector, to the governments, to try to achieve what we are looking forward. And we are not just talking, we are walking, and we are making active action. So walking the talk to be able to create the investments that we need to achieve this goal. FAO has supported the governments with technical and state-of-the-art information and techniques to prioritize their investments so that you can really de-risk by information what you're planning to do in the countries. So please, let's work together and try to achieve this goal. And that's why this week is so important for all of us to be able to start moving forward and accelerating the process of these investment plans in the Hand in Hand initiative. With that, let me now have the honor that we'd like to give the floor to our Director General, Xu Dongyu, Director General of FAO. Director General, please.
Thank you, my chief economist. Only one, In FAO, we have one chief economist, one chief scientist. Before I come, there are so many names under the name of FAO chief economist, but I said I cleaned up. Only one, If you are not the best, you are not the one chief economist in FAO. So I'm proud to have him work together and make change of FAO, and together with, of course, other co-leaders. FAO is your organization. And now I was planning to say some few words on the hand in hand, but they have a very systematic way of presenting my thought. We designed 4 years ago together. So the hand in hand is in your hand. Not only in my hand. So dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Vice President of El Salvador, and he managed to come. I'm so delighted. I said, of course, FAO is an intergovernmental organization, UN special agency. We should get the head of state. Yesterday, I was thinking during night, their leaders, prince from Jordan, said, I'm a biologist. The most closed distance between heart and head is in your body. But from the heart failed to heart broken, it's not controlled by your heart, it's controlled by your head. That's the message and the conclusion I learned from yesterday. So as a human being, we should make more and more heartfelt events, not heartbroken events. You can see the world during past years, during past months, during past days. There are so many heartbroken events happen. FAO, I want to build a heartfelt event for you to cure or minimize or uncomfortable you are heartbroken and controlled by your head. Let's work. That's why I started early morning at 8 to get heartfelt to the indigenous people from the indigenous community. They represent our ancestors. Unfortunately, their ancestor was moved away from the continent, from bigger plain to the landlocked mountains, deep mountains, and small island. And they stay there. Now only maybe several million people are in the marginal areas. But they preserve our civilization. Our ancestors 1 million ago, how they hunt, how they gathered food, how they build the sustainable agri-food system, how to preserve the biodiversity for us. Unfortunately, dominant, 99% of the population on this planet is dominant in the city and in the big continent. And that's what we have to respect the ancestor people and from the indigenous community. And of course, I encourage them to combine the traditional with innovation. Without innovation, without the future. That's why without the investment, without the future. To transform agriculture, we need 3 elements. Empower the youth and the women, science innovation, and investment. Investment mainly leading by the private sector, not by government. Be honest, no matter how poor you are, how rich you are, majority led by the private sector. And of course, we need academic people, scientists or technician people. So welcome you all for the second hand-in-hand investment forum and the umbrella World Food Forum. World Food Forum is a forum platform for you to change business, change the way of their thinking. Not only meeting, it's a real meeting point for you. FAO is a meeting point for you, for the people who are interested in agri-food system and rural development, no matter what the role you are. I'm pleased to have so many hand-in-hand member governments with us here today and also relevant partners from international organizations, especially international finance institutions, private sectors, and academias, and private sectors, and traditional donors of foundations. All of you are essential part of the hand-in-hand initiative. I categorize 5 groups, as you heard from the video, which is one of the FAO flagship initiatives, launched when I started my first term. And I remember first week of August, I had a discussion with my chief economist. That time he was one of the chief economists. I said, no, it's a matchmaking platform, because we need a dialogue and a shared and matchmaking platform, Otherwise you have no future, No dialogue leads to the conflict. No dialogue leads to misunderstanding. No dialogue to misinterpretation. When you're smiling, and you ask me, why are you smiling today to me? Why, when they shout you, why he shouting with me? So we need the proper interpretation of the human, most complicated animal on this planet. We are animal in principle. We are not far away from our mama by the genetics. So one of the key features of this innovation and initiative is that the country-owned, country-lead process. When the FAO provides professional technical assistance through the concrete, integrated, science-based tools aimed at enhancing agricultural productivity, we need to produce more and better with less. That's why I encourage indigenous people. They remain a very sustainable way for millions of years, but now we have so much population. We need to improve efficiency. Otherwise, we don't have enough food. Either you destroy the environment, either you are face hunger. And the solution is we need the sustainable and efficient science-based solution, not others. Any country in the world now, they compare your ancestor. Yeah, Bhutan, my friend from Bhutan, it's landlocked the Himalayan mountains. I think 100 years ago, it's only 10% of the population now. Yeah, they increased 10 times more. So you need more food and better food. That's the reality. And how? So we have a lot of package solution, improve the productivity. That's why they come the 4 betters. I don't want to repeat all that I said and all the crises, all the challenges you can read. But my most important message for today for you, after 3rd times, first virtually, last year is hybrid, this year still we keep hybrid, but I encourage all of you take your own part as your platform, as your initiative. Without the member countries and the private sectors, international financial institutions, take your partnership ownership without deliverable results. So FAO, again, is your organization with the 194 members. And like I always said, we need to play the tango. FAO now, we already have he is from Peru. Huh? I don't know if he played tango well or not, but at least on behalf of FAO, we started play tango. We need you from members from the private sector, from World Bank, my friend, and also IFA, the president is here, and others. You should also move another step, and then we move another step. So we will make a beautiful tango together for the people who need it most. Thank you.
Thank you, Director General. We will play tango. We also will play salsa and lambada and anything that we need to be able to achieve the action that we want to achieve. So let's work together and let's accelerate the action. I now have the pleasure to introduce Mr. Álvaro Larios, President of the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD. His intervention will cover the topic of the strategy and role of the International Fund of Agricultural Development to support countries in strengthening the environment while reducing food insecurity. So let's start the action, Álvaro. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. As the Director General mentioned, we started the morning with a beautiful celebration with indigenous peoples in their tent and just seeing the power of the youth and the power of indigenous peoples. I think that was a great start. Now we continue with the investments, which is a key part to making sure that we leave no one behind. So it's great to be here to have this opportunity of discussing on the hand-in-hand investment forum. For IFAD, as the second world's largest investor in food systems after the World Bank, we very much focus on small-scale farmers and on rural people. And they are very critical to really tackle the challenges of food security as well as climate change. As many of you know, small farms under 5 hectares produce half of the food in the world. So if they fail, we all fail, with the consequence for future generations. We also know that rural people are disproportionately affected by hunger and by poverty. In 2022, 900 people in the world suffered extreme food insecurity, and 80% of those living in extreme poverty were in rural areas. This is what we do at IFAD. IFAD's mission is to address the root causes of poverty and insecurity. We invest in improving food production, food systems, and the nutritional levels in poorest communities. This is what we have done over the last 5 decades, and this is how small farms and small farmers have contributed to global food security, as well as having a critical role in protecting the environment and building global resilience. Many times, a lot of these investments are actually preventing further conflict, preventing further future forced migration, and this is key at these challenging times. We also know that rural people are custodians of vast natural resources. Those are their assets, not to mention also possessors of indigenous knowledge. Investing them can also feed the rural as well as the growing urban populations and safeguard the natural environment. Small farms, which are very key, offer solutions for sustainably producing enough food to feed the world. They have higher yields and harbor greater crop and non-crop biodiversity than larger farms. They also support healthy ecosystems, which can help address global issues ranging from protecting against the effects of climate change to sequestering carbon. That's why we need to invest more in small farms and in the rural businesses they work with to produce, process, and distribute food. Since 1978 at IFAD, we have invested over 24 billion of our own funding to fund projects in developing countries. But we cannot do it alone, and this is why this initiative and this forum that we are having today is very important. This is also what we support large-scale investment platforms that assemble and bring us all together. We are seeing an evolution of different multilateral development banks led by the World Bank. We're seeing also a lot of private sector companies. I'm a champion of SDG 12.3, and I'm very impressed by some of the improvements in terms of food loss and waste, which is also another important angle. So we all need to evolve. This is an important message, and we need to bring us together. At IFAD, as many of you know, we got a 2 AA+ credit ratings, which has enabled us to mobilize money from the private sector. We're working currently on how to bring, through partial credit guarantees, further mobilization of financing to the rural areas, and we all need to work together. For us, this is an important year. It's IFAD 13 replenishment. We're aiming to mobilize a program of work of 10 billion, which will increase the income of 110 million small farm holders. I think that's a very ambitious goal that we can all work together. Our main themes now that we need to evolve, one of them is to bring the private sector into the core of our business. Now all of our designs as well as our own co-investments will bring also the ability of co-financing with the private sector. We're also bringing climate into the core, and this is very key, how we can make sure that the right investments for the small farmers come in terms of climate adaptation. There's not enough climate adaptation financing for many of these small-scale farmers. Ladies and gentlemen, the work of rural people is central to feeding the world today and tomorrow. We welcome the discussions today on how to mobilize further financing, how to bring all the partners together to make sure that we address the nexus of food insecurity, environmental sustainability, and we do both together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alvaro. And you mentioned food loss and waste, so FAO is not just talking. If you go to all our cafeterias, you will see an innovative system that we have put in place to measure waste that you can copy. We are happy. You want to learn from it? We are here to provide all the information, and we also deploy the app, FLAP, to measure food losses at the farmer level, to crowdsource information into the system so that we can have a better measurement of losses. So Alvaro, I expect all your vice presidents and directors of regions will be here in the next days helping us in this investment plan. So thank you so much for being here. Our next speaker is representing the president of the World Bank, Mr. Martin van Nieuwenkop, Global Director of Agriculture and Food of the World Bank Group, who will introduce the strategy and the role of the World Bank Group to support countries in strengthening the environment while reducing food insecurity. Martin, the floor is yours.
Very good. Thank you very much, Maximo. Very pleased to be here at the opening session of the Hand-in-Hand Initiative Forum. And in my remarks, I would like to share some reflections on what it will take actually to finance the agri-food system transformation that the world needs. Actually, there was very much on the agenda yesterday at the grand opening that I attended as well. In that respect, let me start by saying, that the food systems transformation, that the case for food systems transformation actually is very compelling. To the extent that business as usual is no longer an option, but in fact, a trajectory or scenario that needs to be avoided. The cost of inaction is higher than the cost of action. I think that was one of the conclusions at the UN Food Systems Stop moment that took place in July earlier this year. Now, of course, that is easier said than done. This especially considering that the cost of food systems transformation, of successful food systems transformation, is about $350 million per year for the next 10 years. And of course, not a single institution can do this alone, including the World Bank. Therefore, I mean, collaboration is very much critical, and we need to seek out opportunities for leverage. So then how to go about this? It is a little bit the how-to for agri-food system transformation, and we see 4 entry points. The first entry point, I mean, would be to get incentives right. I mean, global public support, I mean, to agriculture and food now exceeds $800 billion per year. And much of this public support really encourages very much, I mean, inefficient use of inputs, unsustainable production practices, and promotes, I mean, unfavorable nutrition outcomes. It is simply bad value for money. I mean, farmers receive only 35 cents for every dollar that government spent on public support to agriculture. And that support offers encourage production practices that are unsustainable and bad for the environment. So the estimates, I mean, that we've been put together with the International Food Policy Research Institute, I mean, suggest as repurposing public support, I mean, we can really improve food security, make healthy diets more affordable, reduce poverty, and bring down greenhouse gas emissions. So realigning and redirecting policies and public expenditures to create the proper incentives can deliver the triple win of healthy people, planet, and the economy. So that's the first entry point that we want to put forward. The second entry point would be to scale. I mean, private sector is important, as DC said. The second entry point would be to scale private sector investments in agriculture and food, and more importantly, actually to improve the quality of private sector investments in agriculture and food. You know, the private sector actually spends about $2 trillion per year on agriculture and food annually. The World Benchmarking Alliance has done in-depth research about this, and the conclusion is that the application of ESG standards in the food sector is really lagging. I mean, what's happening in all the sectors, energy and transport, for instance. There's a lot of greenwashing going on. So to really resolve this, I mean, we need public-private partnerships and compact in every country in which the public sector really de-risks private sector investments in greening supply chains, while in returns, I mean, the companies benefiting from those de-risking arrangements would actually raise their ESG standards, which is very much needed in the food sector. So that's the second entry point for successful agri-food system transformation. The third entry point would be to scale up, I mean, climate financing to agriculture and food. I mean, agriculture and food right now only receives about 4 or 5% of global climate financing, and that is about $28 to $29 billion per year out of the overall envelope of $660 billion per year. So if the agriculture and food sector would actually receive climate financing in accordance with the contribution to greenhouse gas emissions, 1/3, I mean, the sector should receive about $220 billion. So that's a huge gap here. And then the fourth entry point would be really to address, I mean, the fragmented nature of current financing to agriculture and food. In this respect, I mean, the work that we've been doing with the G7, the Global Food Security Alliance, I mean, the Global Food and Nutrition Security Dashboard that we developed, would be very helpful actually to kind of address this fragmentation. Right now, there's a big disconnect between the narrative on global food systems, which is a very comprehensive integrated concept, and the aid architecture, the financing architecture that's very fragmented. So those are the 4 entry points. So what are we doing in the bank? I mean, we are acting on this agenda through our analytics and our financing in close collaboration with partners, all partners, of course. Since 2020, we've co-hosted global policy dialogues, engaging 49 countries through a total of 10 through a total of 10 global dialogues. At the national level, we are engaged with 30 countries, providing them with the technical and the financial support, I mean, to assess policies and public expenditures and guide policy action for sustainable agriculture, so that senior policymakers really have the evidence, I mean, to shift policies. We're also now in a very exciting phase and actually putting the money where our mouth is, to our Food Systems 2030 Multi-Donor Trust Fund, where we have awarded grants, I mean, to 5 countries, Bangladesh, Ghana, Malawi, Mozambique, and Madagascar, to the tune of $75 million, that actually will seed money, I mean, that will allow governments actually to start working on this agri-food systems transformation agenda. And finally, Of course, I mean, we're also scaling up our results-based financing program for results in support of agri-food systems transformation. And in this respect, since there are many ministers here, I would very much like to reiterate, I mean, that the World Bank's commitment to make financial resources available through sectoral program for results and our trust fund, I mean, to all countries that actually are committed to transforming their agriculture support to enhance food system resilience to policy reform. So this is really an invitation to countries who want to kind of embark on that implementation pathway, that the World Bank actually stands ready to support those countries and work with those countries to do that in a successful fashion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Martin, and to all the banks which are here, the Vice President of the IDB, the CABEI, African Development Bank, the Asian Development Bank, all the banks that are supporting us, thank you so much for being here today. Now, let me move to the private sector. So our next speaker is Mr. John W.H. Denton, AO, Secretary General of the International Chamber of Commerce, ICC. And his intervention will focus on the role of the private sector in supporting the implementation of the investments for the agri-food systems. John, the floor is yours.
I don't play paddle, Director General, but I do play a lot of other sports. It's a great pleasure to be with you all today. The idea of developing the food sector is one that's dear to the heart of the International Chamber of Commerce, but actually personally it's an endeavor of mine as well. I think we have to be really candid. People talk about stock takings, people talk about next steps, but let's just really understand where we are. And it's great to be with IFAD, and it's great to be with the World Bank as well in this context as well. From our perspective, as we look at food insecurity remains a critical global problem for which progress is proving very difficult. And I think the statistics tell us a little bit about that. And my friend from the World Bank made some mention of that. We're moving further away, not closer, to our goal. And that's incredibly important. Let's not forget that our goal is to end hunger, food insecurity, and malnutrition by 2030. Sadly, levels of global hunger are increasing, they're not decreasing. If you actually look at it now, just under 10% of the world population in 2022 compared with 8% in 2019. That's between 690 million and 783 million people in the world face hunger at this point in time. The Food and Agricultural Organization, DG, congratulations for your leadership. You've estimated that the agricultural production, we need to increase it by 56% by 2050. That just doesn't happen. That actually is going to require a dramatic transformation. Business as usual will not operate. We need to spike the trajectory in a way that improves the prospects. And what that tells us is the whole agri-food sector must transform, and transform quickly, my friends, to meet this challenge. The purpose of the hand-in-hand investment, which we are very happily engaged in because of the respect that you're playing, but also the acknowledgement of the importance of the private sector in driving this transformation, cannot be underestimated, because we talk here about collaboration. The private sector is not a piggy bank, Director General, as you know. It actually should be and must be a partner. And I have to say that I commend the speech, I commend the speech of the President of the World Bank in Marrakesh, where he recognized the importance of the World Bank working closely, hand in hand with the private sector. And I was delighted to hear your comments, Director General of IFAD, about the orientation of IFAD to engage directly with the private sector. These are very important recognitions, because in the end, the intricate link between food and geopolitics, effective and inclusive dialogue in the food sector is crucial for maintaining global peace and the opportunity for prosperity for all. Moreover, complex challenges cannot be solved by a single organization. If it could, Director General of the FAO, I'm sure you would have fixed it, but you can't do it on your own. It has to be a multi-stakeholder approach at which the private sector is at the heart. Collaboration between the private and public sectors is crucial for pushing agri-food systems towards sustainability and resilience. as you just pointed out, there's a lot of room for growth here. We stand against greenwashing. We stand for the full integration of ESG into supply chains, but that is a joint mission that we must all recognize. Because what you want is an alliance with the private sector's long-term vision, the innovation which the private sector brings, and our creativity, because we can contribute to this transformation of the food systems. We applaud FAO for the hand-in-hand forum. When I first met you, DG, we talked about it because we actually had analysed it and saw that the only way forward was hand-in-hand with the private sector. And certainly, we at the ICC believe that no global problem can be solved without harnessing the positive power of the private sector. In a way, I challenge you to identify a global problem that can be solved without the private sector. And I think you'll be thinking for a long time. And so we are here today to confirm our willingness to support FAO and to achieve real progress in delivering on the ambition of zero hunger. Last night I met with the G7 Sherpa for next year for Italy. I'll be in Brazil soon with the G20 Sherpa. All I want to do is combine the ambition of the G7 and the G20 with the FAO, with the World Bank, with the United Nations, with the private sector to actually meet the mutual aims here. We need to change the trajectory and we need to align the various organs and able to do that as well. We can act as an important conduit and support in this, in shaping the effective engagement of the private sector to support this. We were established more than 100 years ago by a group of entrepreneurs who consider themselves and are well known as the merchants of peace. Today, we are the institutional representative of more than 50 million businesses in more than 170 countries. And I point out to you that almost 70% of the ICC is in the global south. We are the world's most inclusive voice of the real economy. We are the world's most inclusive global business organization. We believe in the power of the private sector as a force for good, and we aim to be an actor, not an observer, but an actor in the solution of the complex problem that the world is facing. We bring the voice of the real economy to policy making, and we are increasingly being seen as the partner for multilateral organizations as they seek to find a new way forward. It was not for nothing that the UN Secretary General, after the invasion of Ukraine, when he created the Global Crisis Response Group, for the first time ever determined they needed the voice of the private sector, and they turned to the ICC. For the first time ever, the private sector has been institutionally integrated into United Nations response on the global crisis. We, in my office in Paris, we actually originated the idea of the Black Sea Agreement because we actually can bring innovation to the way in which multilateral decision-making, multilateral processes can operate. And we continue to play an ongoing role in the Global Crisis Response Group, where we support work relating to food and fertilizers. We bring real-time insights and expertise to help ensure that global policies can actually have a real impact for local economies. We will continue to play a role in accelerating the transformation of the agri-food system, particularly through our global agri-food hub. And I'm proud that we have our founder, Ercole De Vito from Italy here, our agri-food hub, and our co-lead now, Sebastian Ferrari from Argentina is with us today. We established agri-food hubs in 2021. Our aim now is to build a globally applicable business model to ensure we have agri-food hub available in every economy that needs it, to ensure that we have a lighthouse for integrating with the private sector in those economies. For this event alone, we've actually brought over 30 significant companies, demonstrating our commitment as a partner to the FAO and strengthening the opportunity for cooperation between our institutions. We will continue to support initiatives like the Hand-in-Hand Initiative, and our aim is always to bring together all stakeholders. We are a neutral platform designed to enable peace and prosperity for the world based on good business practices. We stand ready, willing and able, Director General, not just to engage here, but to continually engage around the world in support of the FAO, in support of an outcome which will lead to zero hunger. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John. And please, it's very important for us that what we are looking is for good food for today and good food for tomorrow. And that's what links to the sustainability and to the importance also of financing and climate financing. So for that, we need to bring together all the stakeholders, as John has mentioned. But it's also very clear to us that we need to take risks. This won't be risk-free. We need to take challenges and risks. FAO, since the first day the Director General joined FAO, and we worked closely in the summer, we developed the Hand in Hand initiative, which was an important risk because we were offering to the countries to support them in their investment plans. We have today 67 countries in the Hand in Hand initiative. Coming here in this World Investment Forum, there are 32, which have investment plans ready to go. So we took an important risk with the countries and we're working with them. And we also are trying to de-risk with information. But all of you, the private sector, the IFIs, all the agencies that are working with us need also to cooperate and work with us, taking part of this risk. Because if we share the risk, things are easier and we can move forward. So let's move for action. And thank you very much for this first segment. Thank you to all of you. And now we move to the second segment. And let me invite my colleague, David Laborde, the Director of the Agri-Food Economics Division of ESA, to start the next panel and invite his speakers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maximo. Thank you, everyone, for being with us today. Good morning. So Maximo has introduced me, and I have the honor to start this second panel of the Hand-in-Hand Investment Forum. So when Maximo has proposed me this opportunity is always to emulate the word of Charles Dickens, is the best of job and the worst of job, because we have a limited amount of time. We have an incredible list of speakers, very diverse from different parts of the world. Some are policymakers, some work in finance. They have also, beyond the current position they bring a background. Some are lawyers, some are economists, and really to tackle the challenge that we have today that is needed. So, 5 minutes by speakers. After 5 minutes, you will hear a little birds. And just to start now, I am honored to introduce our first distinguished speaker, Her Excellency Felix Augusto Antonio Ulloa Garay, Vice President of the Republic of El Salvador. And Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I hope you don't mind if I switch to speak in Spanish. Muchas gracias por la oportunidad. Realmente es un gran honor estar esta mañana con ustedes. Agradecer al señor director general Xu Dongyong de la FAO, a los representantes de los Estados miembros, de los organismos financieros internacionales, la banca multilateral, organismos internacionales, por esta oportunidad en nombre del gobierno del presidente Nayib Bukele de poder hacer una breve reflexión sobre el tema que nos ha convocado. Invertir en la agricultura, invertir en un proyecto cuya metodología, mano de la mano, ha demostrado la posibilidad y los potenciales que existen en muchos de nuestros territorios para generar una agricultura sostenible que permita generar no solo alimentos y riqueza para nuestros pueblos, sino también ayudar durante y pendiente y mediante una sostenibilidad con el medio ambiente. El mundo se encuentra en una situación muy difícil. No estamos solventes en el cumplimiento del objetivo de hambre cero y de seguridad alimentaria. Tenemos un déficit grande de cumplimiento. Y estamos en momentos en los cuales entramos ya de lleno a la era del antropoceno. Los seres humanos estamos haciendo un uso inadecuado de los recursos naturales. Y la naturaleza nos pasa facturas. Hay sequías, hay inundaciones, hay incendios por doquier. Y si agravamos esta situación con las guerras, la guerra en Europa Central, la guerra reciente en el Medio Oriente, y valga la relación para expresar nuestra solidaridad con las víctimas de la guerra y un llamado desde este podio a quienes tienen la capacidad de poner fin a esta guerra y encontrar soluciones pacíficas a los conflictos. Porque estas guerras efectivamente sí afectan la materia de la que estamos hablando. La distribución de granos básicos, de fertilizantes, el aumento del precio del petróleo, la logística a nivel mundial, se han agravado justamente por estos conflictos. Y no podemos hacer planificaciones y no podemos generar políticas ni estrategias, ni de inversión ni de desarrollo, si estas guerras siguen asolando a nuestros países, a nuestras naciones. Por eso desde El Salvador, un pequeño territorio en el centro de América, donde ahora tenemos la presidencia pro tempore del Sistema de la Integración de Centroamérica, el SICA, una región que reúne 8 estados y que significa el 2% de la extensión planetaria, que sea en este momento la cuarta economía de América Latina, superada solo por Brasil, México y Argentina. Desde esta región queremos decirles a ustedes que la metodología mano a mano ha demostrado que es posible invertir en esta región, que nosotros nos hemos preparado desde nuestro país para abrir una ventana de oportunidades a los inversionistas en el tema de agricultura. Hemos adoptado una cantidad de medidas de carácter legislativo, generando un marco normativo que facilite la inversión extranjera, que abra la oportunidad para desarrollar las nuevas tecnologías, sobre todo en materia agrícola. Por eso nuestro asocio con Google, este gigante tecnológico, mediante el acuerdo del presidente Bukele, recientemente firmado en los Estados Unidos con los representantes de Google, ha permitido a El Salvador posicionarse como un país que puede ser la puerta de entrada para los inversionistas en la región de Centroamérica. Tenemos una posibilidad de recibir inversión extranjera de la banca multilateral, de los inversionistas privados, porque la alianza entre el sector privado y el sector público son para nosotros la clave del desarrollo. Y la agricultura, que en nuestro país fue abandonada durante las últimas décadas, está siendo ahora prioritaria en la política pública más importante del país. Nuestro plan de recuperación agropecuaria en El Salvador va a significar no solo la recuperación de más de 50,000 hectáreas de café en la plantación de café, sino también el detener uno de los fenómenos que generó esa visión desarrollista ante agricultura de las décadas pasadas, que era la migración forzada. Muchas de las personas que se vieron obligadas a salir del país venían justamente de las áreas rurales. Nosotros éramos un país reconocido mundialmente por el alto nivel de exportación de café que teníamos. Las cosechas disminuyeron drásticamente y dejamos de producir muchos de los alimentos que consumimos. Estamos importando casi el 80% de lo que consumimos. La seguridad alimentaria para nosotros ahora sí va a ser ya una prioridad. Y por eso creemos que es el momento en que un proyecto como el de Mano de la Mano pueda atraer la inversión extranjera, la inversión directa, y ofrecemos seguridad no solo en términos jurídicos, porque manejamos un fuerte Estado de Derecho con instituciones fuertes, democráticas, que permiten la certeza en la inversión, que garantizan la seguridad y la inversión, pero también porque hemos logrado quitarnos uno de los problemas fundamentales que tenía cualquier desarrollo económico que quisiéramos enseñar en nuestro país, y era la violencia en las comunidades, la violencia de las estructuras, de las pandillas, las estructuras criminales que asolaban nuestras comunidades. Gracias al Plan Control Territorial, liderado directamente por el presidente Bukele, hemos logrado devolver la paz, la tranquilidad, la armonía a las comunidades, y el crecimiento económico empieza a verse, y no solo en las comunidades en las zonas urbanas, sobre todo en las zonas rurales, donde reiniciar los procesos agrícolas de producción y generación de alimentos va a permitir ese salto, ese desarrollo y ese renacer que el pueblo salvadoreño está planteando en este momento. Y desde el pueblo salvadoreño y desde El Salvador para toda la región SICA de Centroamérica. Solo quiero terminar haciendo esta reflexión. El mundo se debate justamente en estos días en guerras y en la industria de la muerte. Esta reunión puede permitirnos de que la inversión de recursos, de talentos, de toda la ciencia que está aquí reunida, representada, de todos los técnicos y expertos económicos para llevar al mundo hacia un estadio mejor, puede servir para invertir en la vida. De eso se trata. Hagamos uso de los recursos y el talento humano para sembrar vidas. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It was very exciting to see, despite the shocks that happen in this world, how through regional coordination, through partnership between public and private entities, we can build a better future and mobilize investment. Our next speaker is His Excellency Melaku Alebel, Minister of Industry from the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. So what Ethiopia is doing in order to attract this investment? Excellency, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning. His Excellency Dr. Ku Dongu, Director General of the Federal Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, Excellencies, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to be able to give remarks on this Hand-in-Hand Investment Forum 2023. This gathering presents to transformative opportunity to shape the future of agriculture and food security and to create a more prosperous and equitable world. The Hand-in-Hand initiative led by the FAO, which was particularly introduced by His Excellency Dr. Ku Dongu, is more than just a concept. It is a vision in action. It is a call to eradicate hunger and poverty, recognizing the transformative power of agriculture. The food and nutrition security situation in Africa, particularly in the Horn of Africa, where Ethiopia is located, faces severe challenges due to climate change, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the other global issues. These challenges, combined with high population pressure and limited technology adoption, threaten millions of lives and livelihoods. Despite these challenges, Ethiopia has sustained impressive consecutive economic growth, averaging 6.3% over the past 5 years. This growth reflects not only the resilience of the Ethiopian economy, but also the remarkable progress in agriculture and manufacturing. It underscores our determination to overcome adversity and drive economic development and agricultural transformation. Ethiopia, with agrarian economy, is committed to address food and nutrition security through the homegrown economic reform agenda. This initiative aims to unlock growth potential and encourage private sector involvement in agriculture and manufacturing industry sector. Guided by a 10-year perspective plan, the government prioritized 10 key agriculture commodities like wheat, oilseed, and launched initiatives like the Green Legacy, Yelemat Trufat, Bounty Basket, and the Let Ethiopia Produce initiatives. These initiatives aims to achieve quick wins to enhance the productivity and competitiveness of the agriculture and manufacturing sector. These efforts involve smallholder farmers, pastoralists, private sectors, and receive support from donors, private and public institutions, and non-governmental organizations. Remarkable results have been achieved, including self-sufficiency in wheat production and the planting of over 32 billion seedlings through the Green Legacy Initiative to contribute to climate change mitigation and national climate resilience in the last 5 years. Within a year, we planted 7.2 billion seedlings. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Ethiopia's industrial sector is on the rise with significant foreign direct investment inflows in manufacturing. This investment represents a harmonious link between agriculture and industry. The agriculture sector provides not only raw materials for manufacturing, but also serves as source of employment, income, and potential collaboration between the two sectors. The hand-in-hand investment forum is a platform that goes beyond discussions. It is about identifying investment opportunities in agriculture, driving innovation, and ultimately catalyzing sustainable development. Investment in agriculture holds the promise of a brighter future for all. The Minister of Agriculture is actively seeking foreign and national investors in priority agricultural areas, using hand-in-hand as a vehicle to fueling Ethiopia's manufacturing sector. It is an invitation to be a part of Ethiopia's journey to economic growth, job creation, and agricultural transformation, all of which contributes to the success of manufacturing industry. We seek to enhance the production and productivity of the agricultural sector through investment, not only to bolster agriculture, but also provide raw material and resource for the burgeoning manufacturing industry. Without transforming the agriculture sector, we couldn't expect the transformation and development of manufacturing industry. An exemplary illustration of this integration is found in Ethiopia's experience with the integrated agro-industry parks. These parks serve as hubs where agriculture and manufacturing converge. They are the physical embodiment of a symbiotic relationship where agricultural products are processed and transformed into value-added goods within the same region. Therefore, Ethiopia actively seeks foreign and domestic investors to invest in critical enablers that will boost agriculture production and productivity, including fertilizers, mechanization, animal feed, and soil health improvement. We have designed attractive investment packages and made substantial investment in basic infrastructure such as power supply, roads, and internet service to create conducive environment for both foreign and domestic investors. I invite you to seize this moment to explore the investment opportunities and to be a part of Ethiopia's investment journey toward the sustainable development through the harmonious integration of agriculture and manufacturing together. Hand in hand, we can create a world where both sectors thrive and where we not only meet the demand of today, but build a brighter tomorrow for all. Finally, let me take this opportunity to thank FAO for their comprehensive support in our economic endeavor. No one left behind. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Here also a great intervention and this very interesting point of view where you see first, any country in the world can contribute to the global fight against climate change. So we are all together on one planet and we can all contribute. But also you see how the agricultural development strategy fits in the overall economic development strategy of countries integrating agriculture and industry. And the investments of today in the agri-food system are also the condition for better and smarter investment in industry and other sectors of your economy tomorrow. You know, feeding humans and feeding humans with good food is making good human capital, smarter people, stronger people. And that we need for the long-term economic development. Now, I have the pleasure to invite our third speaker, Ms. Anya Maria Ibanez, Vice President for Sectors and Knowledge of the Inter-American Development Bank. Yes, knowledge is key, innovation is key, and you need good brain to do good innovation. So, Ms. Ibanez, please join us. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for inviting me, the FAO, at this very important hand-in-hand forum. At the IDB, we firmly believe that only through collaboration we would be able to tackle the difficult challenges ahead that we have. Global food systems, as many of the speakers have mentioned, are facing unprecedented challenges. We need to produce enough food for a growing population. We need to eradicate poverty and expand access to healthy and nutritious diets, while in parallel protecting our natural resources and reducing GHG emissions. My region, Latin America and the Caribbean, was the only region in the world to achieve the Millennium Development Goals of having the proportion of undernourished people between 1990 and 2015. However, during 2015, this progress halted, and in some cases, it reverted. Now, food insecurity in the region is increasing. The FAO estimates that about 40% of the population in the LAC region are food insecure. This is about 267 million, and 8.6% face hunger, which is about 56 million people. At the Inter-American Development Bank, we are committed to supporting the countries in the LAC region to achieve the Sustainable Development Objective of Zero Hunger for 2030. This will not be easy, but it's essential. Today, I want to highlight key policies that are crucial to achieve this goal. The first one is one that has been mentioned by all the speakers that preceded me, which is the need to leverage financial resources. Financial resources are scarce to address the scope of this challenge. Hence, it is crucial to redirect current resources to agricultural policies that are efficient, that are effective, and that are sustainable. This can be done by redirecting private direct subsidies, which oftentimes are not targeted well, are poorly targeted, and encourage unsustainable practices, towards adopting technologies that boost climate adaptation and strengthen public goods like sanitary and phytosanitary conditions that benefit all agricultural producers and not just a few of them. The second important thing is to adopt a multi-sectoral approach. This is mentioned often, but is implemented rarely. To improve the lives of rural livelihoods, we need to reduce rural poverty and hopefully shrink the urban rural income gap. Specifically, we need to complement agricultural investments with intervention in other sectors, such as expanding social protection for the rural population, increasing education, health, sustainable infrastructure, including digital infrastructure, tourism, and the environment. This intervention can foster rural employment, and it can also promote the transition from agricultural to non-agricultural employment from some small percentage of the rural population, and help to cope with the climate and food price shocks. Third, we need to improve food security and nutrition in a sustainable and inclusive manner, and this will not be possible without innovation and technology. Hence, it is crucial for our countries to increase investment on agricultural research and investment services. To undertake this effort, countries must invest and must work in close collaboration with local universities and regional research centers, which is something that doesn't happen often in my region, in Latin America and the Caribbean. We need to prioritize in this process small and medium farmers, women, and ethnic groups. When we see the figures today for the LAC region, today our countries invest on average less than 1% of the agricultural GDP in innovation and technology. With this figure, it's very difficult to achieve the goals that we have. And extension services are not widely spent and spread in many countries of our region. Fourth, we need to increase and to strengthen the adaptive capacity to climate change, which is fundamental for the food security systems to be resilient. In Latin America, again, we see a very large overlap between those regions that are highly vulnerable to climate change with countries with high levels of food insecurity. The economic losses caused by extreme weather events in Latin America and the Caribbean between 2008 and 2018 amounted to $29 billion, 45% of which is due to droughts. Hence, disseminating agricultural technologies and practice that focus on climate change adaptation, as well as investing in irrigation, is important. And let's remember that agriculture is the only sector that contributes to both mitigation and adaptation at the same time. Thus, supporting farmers to adapt to climate change is also an opportunity to generate mitigation co-benefits. We at the IDB advocate for a joint effort to expand evidence-based interventions. We believe it's crucial to achieve our goals. Knowledge and information are really the building blocks to develop sound policies. For this reason, at the IDB, we monitor agricultural policies, conduct impact assessments of our agricultural projects, and disseminate these findings to the international development community. And we believe this is crucial to find sound solutions with long-lasting impact. I am pleased to mention to end that as part of the Agri-Monitor initiative, we are working with the IDB, with FAO and the World Food Programme to develop a food security and nutrition platform for Latin America and the Caribbean. And the purpose of this platform is to guide the countries in the region to implement knowledge-based policies. Lastly, I really would like to take this opportunity to thank the FAO for all their impressive efforts to improve and to provide data, information, and knowledge. At the bank, at the IDB, we are using extensively this data, not only to produce knowledge, but to make decisions and to design better projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Ibanez. And here also a great example about how a regional development bank both support countries to do what they need to do. I think it's very important to remind that some public goods will always be provided by governments, so we need their support. And at the same time, also governments are the perfect platform to deal with multi-sectoral elements. But it's not just about money, it's about knowledge. So yes, the Agri-Monitor initiative is important to guide countries and to share experiences. And I had the personal pleasure to follow this work for more than at least 10 years now. So congratulations for that. Now, I have the pleasure to give the floor to our next speaker, Mr. Jaime Roberto Diaz-Palacios, Vice President of the Central American Bank for Economic Integration. Mr. Diaz-Palacios, please, the floor is yours.
Well, good morning, Director General. I can't agree more. I think you have a great chief economist. I think that's the role that you need to do, not only to put us hand on hand, but to do hands-on thing and to put things to work. And as well, Vice President Ulloa, you as a representative of the system of integration of Central America, I want to greet you, and also I want to tell all the audience how important this system is. This system started in 1951 with the mission to promote democracy, freedom, peace, and development. What an important mission today, and not only for Central America. And I represent here, which is the part of the development of the system. As you know, we need hands to be standing hands by hand, but you need muscles to lever to do more together. And CABE is the financial muscle of the Central American system. And I am here to tell you that we cannot end poverty if we are not taking climate change and food security seriously. I'm gonna tell you what does that mean for Central America. 2020 was a year where we faced over 30 hurricanes, just in 1 year, 6 of them high intensity. 62% of the products were lost, in agricultural products were lost. And as you know, those are averages. Communities were completely flooded. 100% of the products were lost. Social infrastructure, schools, bridges were completely destroyed. That's why we were, at the end of the year, having a summit with the presidents in our headquarters, saying how we can do more. And we realized we cannot end poverty if we are not taking climate change seriously. And CABE is not only talking, but walking. We committed $2.5 billion to invest in recovery. And we saw how the community of finance for development moved, and we leveraged funds from different organizations, like the European Union, like the Germans, and others. So that's where we can work, and we need to work together. But what's coming next? That was the part that Mrs. Ibanez was telling us. It was the part of the Niño, where we have hurricanes and we have tropical storms and rainy seasons. But 50% of the impact is given through drought. So our region is actually believing that food security has to be on the #1 point of the agenda. Vice President, you already told us how food security is important, and we need to import 80% of our food. So we need to have this commitment to lead. What is CABE doing? CABE is the best rating in Latin America, and we have a AA. A AA rating that means much in the financial sector, but means much more for us, that we can bring concessional resources and efficient resources to tackle these specific challenges. And our governors, the ministers of finance of Central America, are asking us to do more with what we have. How we can do more? I'm gonna give you some examples. The first thing is CABE is the regional platform to mobilize investments for tackling these huge challenges of climate change and food security. Just in 2022, as you know, after COVID and after these events, poverty increased in 5%. But we mobilized funds for the recovery of COVID. At the same time, we were mobilizing resources for the recovery. Our governors told us, you need to do more, and you need to do carbon zero, and to commit to make more investments with ESG impact. So this year, 100% of our bond issuances are sustainable. We were able to do the first 2 blue bonds in the market and canalize or mobilize funds for Belize, for the Caribbean, for the Pacific, and for the whole investments in fishery that we need to do. We cannot do it alone, and we believe certainly that the projects and the problems that we have in the region are highly complex. That's why we are working with institutions like the Green Climate Fund and the Adaptation Fund. We are the multilateral institution that mobilize more funds from the Green Climate Fund to Central America. And I have to tell you, it's not that much. $500 million mobilized to the region. $500 million. We are approving $2.5 billion with our own ordinary resources. So I'm making a call for the international community to bring more to one of the most vulnerable regions in the world. And CABE is one partner that can work alongside with others like the ones that are here present today. That's why with one of the key projects we're working with the Green Climate Fund, CABE and the board of directors and governors told us you have to work to solve the root causes of food security. And we partner to work with technical assistance with FAO, because we know that FAO is bringing what is the knowledge, and you have it here in hand by hand with all these investment cases that are presented. Their investment department is important. And we know that we cannot do it alone, and we need the private sector. Here it was said before, and we need the commitment for the local private sector. So we are working with local banks, we're working with farmers, with agriculturists, and that's where we need FAO together. And we are going to give loans to the private sector, but we need that to be sustainable. And today I announced we are in full agreement, and hopefully in the next days we're going to start this project all together with the system of integration of Central America with FAO and CABE all together. But still, the gap is big. We need to do more. I know that the impact of this program is going to benefit over 1 million people, is going to have a coverage of over 20,000 kilometers, impacting women, the words that you know that we are working for. But I'm here to say what we need to do is a business case as well to make this sustainable and engage private sector to be committed. So I really believe this is an important place to stand together. And I think Director General was saying, let's have a dance with tango. So I will be a little bit more bold and I will say, let's put a marimba here and have a song, and let's mobilize more funds from others like IDB, World Bank, MIGA, and CIFs, Climate Investment Funds, to try to tackle the issues that we are facing in the region. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz-Palacios. So we have seen how starting from a global shock to El Nino up to deliver very localized services and investment. And that's why in the introductory video of the Hand in Hand initiative, you see how the spatial dimension is important in terms of data, in terms of targeting. Because yes, we need to scale up our efforts, we need to scale up investment, but we need to do the right thing at the right place. So now let me introduce the last speaker. We are doing more or less good in time, more or less than good, but that's okay. So Mr. Nabil Fawaz, Global Sector Manager for Manufacturing, Agribusiness and Services in the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. So yes, managing risk and promoting investment is important. Please, Mr. Fawaz, the floor is yours.
Thank you, dear Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me here today and giving me the opportunity to present to you the role that the institution I represent, the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, or MIGA, which is a member of the World Bank Group, can have in assisting in the investment and the increase of investments in the agri-food systems. In many parts of the developing world, lush soils, temperate climates, and strong farming traditions create an ideal environment to grow agricultural businesses. With the world's population projected to reach 9 billion by 2050, estimates suggest that the world needs increased food output by more than 50% in order to keep up with this growth. To meet this demand, vast levels of investments are required to help farmers increase the yields and become active participants in contributing to the global food security. There is an agribusiness investment challenge. While the worldwide demand for foodstuff is high and investment needs are great, the fact remains that agricultural investments are perceived as risky business, especially in the developing world. Food price volatility has economic, social, and political implications. Indeed, the road for a potential private sector investor from visualizing the opportunity to realizing profit on a well-run, state-of-the-art farming operation is long. Newly stabilized governments could still be on shaky political ground. Unclear or incomplete laws on property ownership may affect profit. Restrictions on revenue repatriation could disrupt the project's finances, adding to the imbalance between foreign-denominated debt and local-denominated revenue. Lastly, threats such as revolution or terrorism add an additional layer of uncertainty, potentially derailing even the most promising of investments. Combined, such political risks contribute to high cost of capital. In fact, some lenders, investors might not be willing to extend credit at all in the absence of political risk insurance policies. MIGA's mission is to promote foreign direct investment into developing countries to support economic growth, reduce poverty, and improve people's lives. We do this by providing political risk insurance or guarantees against certain non-commercial risks to investments in developing countries, as well as by providing dispute resolution services for guaranteed investments in order to reach amicable solution and in turn allowing investors to continue operations and realize the project's envisaged earnings, while the governments avoid sending negative signals for other potential private sector investors while maintaining a tax revenue stream and job creating in the country. MIGA provides 4 types of coverage that can be of relevance to mobilize private sector investments. We can help investors cover the risk of expropriation, where we protect the investors against the government takeover of assets such as land, farm machinery, or food processing plants. This coverage also guarantees protection from what we call creeping expropriation, which is a series of acts that eventually may result in an outright nationalization or driving the investors out of their project. For example, discriminatory taxes, or taking away their operating license, or the prevention of import of critical raw material. We can cover investors against the currency transfer restriction, where we protect them against the possibility that government would prevent the earnings, repatriation, or debt repayments. The coverage also protects against the risk of local currency inconvertibility. With these guarantees in place, lenders may be willing to reduce borrowing costs, increase the maturity, since these mitigate concern that companies may not be able to get their cash out of the country, which would increase the potential for loan defaults. We also cover the risk of war and civil disturbance, where we protect the investors in the event that political upheaval causes direct damage or destruction to the assets, such as torch field or damaged factories. This coverage can also protect against the loss of revenue if crops or food products cannot go to market due to border closures. Guarantee could also insure against temporary business interruption, including both cost and lost revenue. Example, when the farm or plants fall inside a war zone and farmers are not permitted to return to fields in time to harvest the crops. And last but not least, we also cover the breach of contractual obligation, which protect the investors when governments are in contractual partners in a project. For example, when the governments are trying to consider public-private partnerships to establish agro-industrial special economic zones, and where MIGA can assist attracting private sector that are coming into these special economic zones. MIGA guarantees are well suited to mitigate the non-commercial risks of agribusiness investments, thereby lowering the cost of capital and or helping secure the financing needs. Our insurance reassures lenders that their investments are protected and helps equity owners overcome hesitation that may loom large prior to deal signing, particularly for costly investments in perceived high risky countries. Once a deal is in place, MIGA guarantee bring project sponsors peace of mind, providing an added measure of security that can stabilize a project's risk profile and reinforce positive relations with the host government. MIGA also help guide agribusiness companies as they face challenges related to the environmental and social aspects of their investments. Key natural resources need to be managed effectively, while yields are increased to meet market demand. Investment in agriculture can play a significant role in poverty reduction, but only if local production needs are met and high labor standards are practiced. MIGA has the experience to advise its agribusiness clients in implementing social and environmental best practices, as well as climate resilience and mitigation measures in their operations. We look forward to be part of the Hand-in-Hand initiative and support the collaboration between the private sector and the public sector to increase investments and reach food security. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fawaz. I really want to thank all our speakers for their great intervention, their inspiring words. We have seen that, yes, the Hand-in-Hand is a great platform. People want to join it, but we want to join our hands actually to do action. And action requires a lot of different elements all along the value chain, all along the system, from the design to the project to the implementation, to the enabling environment we create to provide the right technology to the right farmers at the right place. So thanks a lot. Now, I have the pleasure to welcome my colleague, Mohamed Mansouri, Director of the FAO Investment Center, that will accompany you for the segment 3. And I'm going to close this segment 2. Once again, thanks a lot for all the contribution.
Excellencies, dear colleagues and friends, my name is Mohammed Mansouri. As my friend David was saying, I'm the director of the FAO Investment Center, which is the go-to place for investment and finance solutions. We provide finance solutions to our member countries, to investors. We have a business model of partnership with the international financial institutions. And I think I'm really very happy to be moderating this third and final part of the opening of the 2023 edition of the Hand in Hand Investment Forum. Our first guest and speaker is the Honorable Mohammed Abdul Razzaq. He is the Minister for Agriculture of the People's Republic of Bangladesh. Honorable Minister, the floor is yours, and we would like to hear from you. What can we do to attract investments for agri-food systems in Bangladesh? What can we do to attract more investments and better investments in agri-food systems in Bangladesh? And what is Bangladesh doing?
His Excellency, Director General, FAO, Dr. Chu Dong-Hu, Excellencies, distinguished delegates of member countries, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. It's a great honor and privilege for me being part of World Food Forum and hand-in-hand investment forum that aims to discuss effective investment and cooperation for efficient, resilient, sustainable agri-food system transformation across the globe. On behalf of the people and government of Bangladesh, I would like to express my gratitude to FAO and all concerned for inviting me, giving me the opportunity to speak at the opening session of this very important forum. This forum is being orchestrated on a critical crossroad, impacts of the COVID pandemic, the drawn consequences of Russia-Ukraine war and other conflicts, and the climate change having adverse impacts on sustainable agri-food system. Let me shed some light on Bangladesh's perspective. Access to safe and nutritious food is a basic human right enshrined in Bangladesh Constitution, formulated under the visionary leadership of our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Since her assumption of office, the current Prime Minister, visionary leader Sheikh Hasina, followed the footprint of father of the nation and transformed the country from a food deficit to a food surplus country, especially in rice. We are now the world's third largest producer of rice, vegetable, onion, and jackfruit, and ranks 7th in the production of potato and mango. Still many challenges we confront, sustaining the productivity and profitability for mostly smallholder subsistence farmers, reducing the most harvest loss, ensuring safety and quality and diversity given the shrinking agri-land resources and water and competition for land use within and across the sector, climate stresses, population boom, and changing food preferences with income growth. Investment in agriculture, therefore, is of paramount importance for several regions, as it plays a significant role in the economic, social, and environmental well-being of our country. It is not only crucial for ensuring food security, it offers increasing potential for youth and women engagement and towards diversifying exports. Towards that end, we formulated a number of policies. We are investing in climate resilient agriculture that will enhance productivity. I am pleased to underline that the July 23rd, a total of 4.4 billion, of with 3.2 billion by the government and the balance by development partner, is cumulative investment being made to implement the National Agriculture Policy 2018. The recent financing agreement with the World Bank and IFAD valued USD 543 million for a program on agriculture and rural transformation for nutrition, entrepreneurship, and resilience. We named it as a partner project. Investment are also being promoted towards the development of essential infrastructure such as transportation network, efficient irrigation system, multi-purpose cold storage facilities, and infrastructure for agro-processing and market development. We see huge potential for developing the value chain of fruits and such as mango, jackfruit, and vegetable such as potato and tomatoes. The agricultural transformation program supported by FAO is helping to this cause. Last year, prior to our participation in the first hand-in-hand investment forum in Rome, we had organized 5 regional consultations across the country with stakeholders drawn from several governments, agencies, development partners, research institutions, academia, farmers, private sectors, and civil society. 4 key investment areas emerged. Number 1, agro-processing, marketing, and commercialization. 2, specialized and multi-purpose cold storage, post-harvest and supply chain management, irrigation and water management. 4th, climate-smart technology development and dissemination. This year, with further consultation, 2 cross-cutting areas are being added, such as developing human resources and institutional capacity for research, extension, and good governance, and application of 4th Industrial Revolution and precision agriculture. Towards the end, we organized the first Bangladesh Agriculture Investment Forum, Dhaka, on 27-28 August 2023, supported by FAO, IFAD, WFP, IFC, World Bank, GAINS, CGIAR, and the Embassy of Denmark. The objective of Bangladesh Agriculture Investment Forum were to facilitate both business to business and business to government dialogue to improve the enabling environment for investment in agriculture and agribusiness. While investment have been forthcoming, a lot more is required, and we will have a long way to go. We need direct investment not only towards the priority thematic areas to maintain geographical and gender equity, leaving no one behind. We see the investment in agriculture is a fundamental driver of economic development, food security, poverty reduction, and environment sustainability. Government and private sector entities and international organizations must recognize this significance of agriculture and allocate resources to support the growth and resilience. I reiterate the proposal of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina at the Food System Summit and Nutrition for Growth Summit and urge the global community to invest in critical sectors of agriculture and enhance agriculture sector's access to global climate financing. I also look forward to declaration from the forum that still pave the way towards investment for effective in transformational of agri-food system of developing countries. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. And as you could see, Bangladesh is one of the countries where the hand-in-hand initiative has been gaining momentum very seriously in terms of inclusiveness, bringing public, private, and a range of partners who are intervening in the agri-food system with a very strong leadership traditionally from the government. But you could see also the results in terms of scale of finance that has been mobilized in Bangladesh. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Our next speaker is Mr. Wagner Albuquerque de Almeida, Director of the Global Manufacturing, Agribusiness and Services at the International Finance Corporation, IFC, the World Bank Group. Mr. Albuquerque, we would like you to tell us a bit about what is the role of IFC in supporting agribusiness and in supporting agri-food systems. Thank you.
Okay, good morning. Thank you for being here today with you all. I think we will discuss something which is difficult to keep discussing. So what I would like to do is maybe next that we stop discussing, which means that we will be finishing the issues that we are facing. So over the next 5 minutes, I will try to tell you a little bit more about who is IFC, which I hope that most of you knows, but let's see, and a little bit about myself and what we are doing. So my name is Wagner Albuquerque de Almeida. It's a very long, big name, okay, for a small Brazilian, and I work for IFC for 13 years. So IFC, as you should know, is part of the World Bank. We are the largest development finance focused on the private sector in developing countries. We know that investing in agribusiness can provide a pathway out of poverty and a better life for millions of people. It also provides a more food security future and strong climate resilience. But we are lagging behind, and much more needs to be done. In fact, we are performing much worse than before. Over 345 million people face high level of insecurity food insecurity in 2023, more than the double in 2020. Well, we talk about COVID, we talk about the war, we talk about inflation. Seems that it's somebody else's problem, it's not our problem. That's quite interesting. So also, what we see is that the climate is bringing new kind of challenge for us. I stopped counting the number of climate events. We cannot cope anymore. So what we really need is try to reverse the situation as much as we can. And by the way, when we talk, it's not only about money. You can have all the money, you cannot solve the problem by itself. We need something else. It's about changing the mindset. It's about sharing the profits and the losses in the right way. It's about the way that we produce, changing the way that we produce. It's about increasing the capacity of the whole supply chain. Sometimes when we talk about capacity, we only talk about the farmers. The farmers need. But it's not only about the farmers. It's from the farmers to the investors. Everybody should need to learn. We need a capacity issue there. It's also about new technology. It's also about cooperating more among the parties, from the private sector to the the public sector. It's about also reversing the damage that we have done in the environment. Well, despite of a lot of the talks, what we see the situation goes even worse, yes? And we continue to blame COVID and somebody else. Well, we need to change, and that's why for IFC, agri is central to the strategy that we have. It's a priority sector. For the last 10 years, we make investments on account and mobilization of more than $20 billion. And for the next 10, we wanted to double that. And it's still not enough. We need to bring more people. We need to mobilize more. We need to bring more people to discuss these important issues. Our work in agribusiness focuses on three main aspects: enhancing food and nutrition, advancing growth and value addition, prioritizing inclusive business model, and this is critical, making climate a center of the conversation. Agri creates jobs, creates revenues for families, but also has an impact on climate, and we cannot forget that. We need to do something. We at the IFC, when we do things, we partner with my colleagues, the World Bank, we partner with my colleagues from MIGA, and we partner with my colleagues from everybody here, sitting here. But are we partnering enough? Probably not. Well, to support this, I think we need to really focus more on the partnership. How we can do this using and mixing the knowledge that one has with the knowledge of the other one, with our knowledge to make us much stronger. Well, I can keep going, but I will make short. I really read an article over the weekend about a farmer in Nigeria. The dilemma of the farmer was to justify or to explain to the wife, the pregnant wife, and 2 kids, why some days they can only have 2 meals a day. Also, sometimes they need to explain why they can have only 1 meal a day. I think we cannot keep explaining, saying it's because of COVID, it's because of war, it's because of interest rate. I think it's because of our inefficiency, how we put the resources to work together. So that's, I think, what we need to do, and that's IFC we wanted to do for now on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Albuquerque de Almeida. I think we can retain from your intervention the issue again of scale, is that IFC is the biggest financier of, corporately in the world, and it is still doing 332 billion over the last 10 years, which is incredibly small as compared to the challenge, hence the call to do much more. Thank you very much for that. Our next speaker is my good friend, Philippe Boihen, Lead Partnership and Coordination, Agriculture and Agro-Industry Department from the African Development Bank. Philippe, you may join us, please. So Mr. Boihen will tell us about the strategy and role of the African Development Bank in supporting their member countries and clients to strengthen the environment while reducing food insecurity in Africa. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. And Mohammed, this is the 3rd time we are meeting since July this year. So I think it's safe to request that in the spirit of hand-to-hand, maybe if we will consider creating a small office so that we can have more hand-to-hand together. Thank you very much. First, let me thank FAO for inviting the African Development Bank to this forum. And I would like to also convey greetings from the President of the African Development Bank, who would have very much liked to be here, but for some other conflicting engagement. I will not repeat most of the points that my colleagues have already stated, but just to remind you that for the continent of Africa, we have a different issue altogether. The impact of climate change and how that affects food insecurity is quite great. Over 256 million Africans are undernourished, and 30% of our populations face serious food insecurity. Now, I can talk about the potential that Africa has in terms of available land and water resources, but as the bank's president puts it, nobody eats potential, people eat food. And so I'd like to highlight a few of the strategies and mechanisms that we have put in place to support our countries. The bank has committed to supporting our regional member countries in a balanced pursuit to strengthen the environment whilst reducing food and nutrition insecurity. So our Feed Africa strategy serves as the anchor for providing various support and instruments to our regional member countries. But we anchor most of our interventions on a number of flagships, which I would like to highlight. The first is the African Climate Smart Agriculture Initiative. The African Climate Smart Agriculture Program is a key flagship under the bank's Feed Africa program, which aims to enhance sustainable transformation of the African agriculture for food and nutrition security under a changing climate. So the flagship has a number of objectives, I'll just highlight a few. It's aimed at facilitating access to climate smart technologies. And I'll tie it with another flagship, which is the TAT program. It's also aimed at promoting various sustainable management practices for agro-pastoral lands and also ensuring climate risk management. So since we launched this initiative, the bank has mobilized over $750 million, this is after post-Dakar 2, to ensure that we finance various projects and programs. Let me just tell you two of such, because it's very, very critical for building resilience in the food systems. The first one is Program for Integrated Development and Climate Change Adaptation in the Niger Basin, what we popularly call the PDAC program. And this is a $205 million investment, which is being implemented within the Niger Basin that is supporting over 4 million vulnerable farmers and pastoralist communities. The second is Program for Building Resilience for Food and Nutrition Security in the Horn of Africa. We call it BRIFONS. This is over $150 million investment that is also supporting more than 5 million agro-pastoralists in Djibouti, Kenya, Somalia, South Sudan, with Ethiopia and also Sudan coming on board soon. These are initiatives and investment that we are rolling out to support farmers build resilience in the food systems and also address climate change. The second major flagship I would like to briefly touch on is Technologies for Africa Agricultural Transformation, what we popularly call TAT. Through TAT, the bank is collaborating with various CG centers and partners, including FARA, to ensure that we're able to put the right technologies, climate smart technologies, in the hands of millions of African farmers. So far, the TAT program has delivered heat-tolerant wheat varieties, drought-tolerant maize varieties, high-yield rice varieties to over 11 million African farmers. And this is something that the bank intends to invest more to upskill to reach more farmers. These climate smart inputs are critical if we are to accelerate food production and also address the impact of climate change. The third initiative I would like to highlight briefly is on climate risk and mitigation. So the bank has unveiled what we call the African Climate Risk Insurance Facility for Adaptation, what we call ACRIFA. And so this initiative is aimed at insulating countries against weather-related events, and also to expand on the African Disaster Risk Insurance Program. So countries like Mozambique and other countries that are affected by floods and extreme weather situations are insured to ensure that they're able to provide mitigation measures to their populations. The other aspect I would like to highlight is our collaboration with the private sector and how we provide risk-sharing facilities and innovative and blended financing to ensure that the private sector is put at the front and center to accelerate food production. The first I would like to touch on is the Agri-SME Catalytic Financing Mechanism. This is a blended financing mechanism that is allowing smallholder farmers and agri-SMEs to access blended financing, particularly for women and youth-led enterprises. The bank believes this is one way to ensure that we accelerate food production, at the same time mitigate against the impact of climate change. The second facility we put in place is the risk-sharing facilities. The agriculture is seen or perceived as a risky enterprise. And so lending from commercial banks to smallholders and also to SMEs has really dwindled over the past few years. The risk-sharing facility basically allows the bank to provide risk-sharing guarantees and partial risk-sharing arrangements so that in the event of default, the first losses, second losses arrangement are dealt with such facilities. The third facility that we have also provided to ensure that we're able to get a lot of input into the hands of smallholder farmers is the African Fertilizer Financing Mechanism. Now, working with large-scale fertilizer distributors and agro-input distributors, this financing mechanism is providing partial risk guarantees and then credit risk guarantees that allow the private sector to scale up the deployment of inputs to millions of smallholder farmers on the continent. Since the commencement of the Feed Africa strategy, the bank has invested over $12 billion of its own resources and also leverage with other partners to finance a lot of programs in excess of $75 billion. We do believe that we cannot do it alone. And that is why partnership and coordination is key. Not just partnership and coordination. And so we work closely with IFAD, with World Bank, with our colleagues from FAO, and also from WFP to ensure that our interventions are well coordinated. And so we leverage on our strength to ensure that we're able to achieve food and nutrition security. Our commitment extends beyond partnership. We also, with the traditional donors, we also work with civil society organizations to be able to drive lasting change and also to ensure that we're able to be more inclusive in our approach. So I would like to thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward to collaborative efforts between the MDBs and also with the bilaterals so we can advance the cause of food security and also addressing climate change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Philip. It was really good to hear all the various initiatives from the African Development Bank to address the transformation of agri-food systems from the various angles, public, private, de-risking, and also the various regional initiatives in the continent. Many thanks for that. Our next speaker is Mr. Pablo Bartol. He is the manager for social and human development at the Development Bank of Latin America and the Caribbean, which is CAF, as we all know. And we would like to hear from you, what is the strategy, but also the role that CAF plays or intends to play in the transformation of agri-food systems. You have the floor, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation to participate for our bank to be here with you. This is my second time here at Hand in Hand Forum. Last year, I participated at a panel, and for several programs, I had to participate via online. So here was the people seated at the panel, and you put my face over that screen. It was my big face, all that screen. So for half an hour was my face over there. I saw it from my house, and my face was stuck like this. I didn't move. If I move an eyebrow, that would be a big movement here. So it was a terrible experience. Well, now we switch to Spanish. Es un placer poder participar aquí. Estamos frente a objetivos que son objetivos sociales complejos. Cuando uno enfrenta objetivos sociales complejos, necesita la participación de muchos actores. Nosotros como banco lo que hacemos es ayudar gobiernos a enfrentar esos objetivos, y para eso necesitamos que varios ministerios trabajen a la vez. Todos los que trabajan con gobiernos saben lo difícil que es sentar varios ministros en una misma mesa a cumplir un mismo objetivo. Cada ministro en general llega con su idea, con su objetivo, con lo que él quiere comunicar a la población que él ha hecho, y le cuesta mucho acordar con otros objetivos comunes que no son necesariamente su objetivo de su gestión. Así que, como nosotros tenemos sentados en nuestro directorio a todos los ministros de Economía, que en todos los países son los que cortan el bacalao, son los que reparten la torta, son los que mueven a la hora de cortar el pedazo de la torta para cada uno, mueven el cuchillo un poco más aquí, un poco más acá. Te toca un pedazo de torta más angosto o más ancho. Sabemos que las sociedades tienen objetivos múltiples y el ministro de Economía es el que reparte dónde se invierte más. Todos los que estamos aquí queremos que en los programas que atienden las necesidades del hambre, las personas creemos que tienen que estar en el objetivo número 1, y el ministro de Economía debe moverlo hacia lo más ancho, pero muchas veces nos encontramos que no es así, porque hay otros objetivos que también son importantes y prevalecen incluso a los programas en los que todos estamos involucrados. Así que, para poner un ejemplo, nosotros tenemos algunos programas de alimentación escolar que apoyamos en algunos países, y es un programa donde debe intervenir el Ministerio de Agricultura cuando queremos vincular los productores rurales con la alimentación escolar. Y eso implica Ministerio de Educación, Ministerio de Economía y también el Ministerio de Agricultura, que en general es el que tiene el vínculo con los productores rurales. Así que sentar a todos esos bajo un mismo objetivo y compartan información y compartan los resultados es un objetivo complejo que incluye, y esto es lo que más quería hablarles, un cambio cultural en los países y en las conductas. A veces podemos hacer una gran inversión, y los que hemos estado en los gobiernos lo sabemos muy bien. Uno puede hacer una gran inversión esperando unos resultados que luego no llegan. Sí, porque invertir no implica inmediatamente que ese resultado se logre, más cuando implica conductas de personas. Por ejemplo, en Ecuador tenemos un programa muy bueno de atención a la desnutrición crónica infantil. El gobierno de Ecuador, a través nuestro, ha invertido más de $300 millones en este programa. Y son programas que involucran a 4 ministerios, que implican cambios de conducta muy importantes en las familias, en los padres, en las mamás, de cómo alimentan a sus hijos, de cómo hacen el tratamiento del agua, si es que les llega agua sana, por decir de alguna manera, y cómo la usan en casa, si van a todos los controles de embarazo. La desnutrición crónica infantil en esos primeros meses de vida es fundamental, y en el embarazo, los controles de embarazo también. Es decir, yo puedo hacer una gran inversión en salud, que estos programas de nutrición crónica infantil requieren una gran inversión en salud, por ejemplo, pero si yo hice la inversión en ese centro de atención primaria de la salud, hice la inversión en tecnología para que se registre cada una de esas asistencias, hice una gran preparación de los médicos, un entrenamiento muy bueno, pero si la mamá no fue a la cita que estaba pactada hoy, toda esa inversión no tiene el resultado esperado. Así que en lo más difícil que estamos y como banco lo que más nos interesa son ayudar a los gobiernos a que diseñen en sus propuestas el necesario cambio cultural en las conductas de las personas. Sin ese cambio que tiene que haber en las conductas, es muy difícil lograr los objetivos. Hoy el vicepresidente de El Salvador nos hablaba de la necesidad de desarrollar un sector productivo de productos primarios. Importan el 80% de los alimentos de su país. Lo mismo pasa en Panamá, donde tenemos un proyecto muy lindo, el CIPAC, de formación de productores rurales, porque tal vez hay fuerzas económicas muy potentes de importadores de alimentos que bloquean, entorpecen o de alguna manera no ayudan a que se desarrolle todo ese sector productivo local. Pero generar un productor rural no es solo inversión. Hay cambios culturales muy necesarios en la población que vive el mundo rural para que se dedique a la producción rural y a la producción de alimentos en especial. Entonces, esos son los cambios en los que estamos, que tienen que ver con capacitación, pero que tienen que ver con cambios en la mentalidad de las personas y en que entiendan que de su conducta se deriva que todas esas inversiones que hacen los gobiernos y en las que nosotros como banco ayudamos son las que van a permitir que se alcancen esos objetivos sociales complejos. Así que esa es en este momento nuestra principal misión, que no solo esté el dinero para esa inversión, sino que esté diseñado el correcto programa que ayude a que las personas cambien sus hábitos, cambien su conducta para alcanzar estos fines que tienen que ver con el hambre, con la desnutrición, con la producción rural de alimentos, y ese tiene que ser como uno de los grandes objetivos nuestros y de todos también en este foro. Muchísimas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Señor Bartol. I think we can retain more the focus on nutrition, behavioral change, cultural change, even in order, to come up with the real transformation, because the transformation of agri-food systems is not only about investments or about policies, it's about also changing the behaviors, and we appreciate very well your contribution here. We now have, our last intervention and speaker in this section, and it is Mr. Takeshi Ueda. He is the head of Rural Development, Agriculture, Food, Nature, and Rural Development Sector Office in the Asian Development Bank. Mr. Ueda. So it's also about, the strategies, the, future of what Asian Development Bank would offer to transform the agri-food systems. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you very much. And thank you for staying to this long session. It's almost, beyond 2 hours. And I just want to start with very personal. I started my career as a FAO young staff, like more than 20 years ago. And FAO is the country that brought me to actually Bangladesh for a good 3 years, and gained a lot of experience, learned a lot from actually your countries. And just today, on behalf of ADB, I want to make a small remarks. And as many of countries may not be relevant, but you get to see how we work. Yeah. On behalf of ADB, I would like to express our gratitude to FAO for organizing this important forum. ADB appreciates the forum's focus on bringing private sector, government, and IFIs, or multilateral development banks together to work together This is really great initiative, and I really appreciate those who work for the behind the scenes. Investment Center. Congratulations. And today, more than 700 million people are undernourished around the world, out of which more than half live in Asia and the Pacific. ADB takes this challenge seriously, and we affirm our commitment to work with our development member countries to eradicate poverty and end hunger and malnutrition and reduce inequality by accelerating agri-food systems transformation. To reaffirm our commitment, ADB announced the ambitious plan to provide $14 billion toward food security between 2022 to 2025, 3 years. This food security financing commitment has expanded ADB's ability, which is ADB's existing ability to serve our developing member countries to enhance their food security. ADB's food security ambition supports the International Financial Institution Action Plan, jointly developed by ADB and other 6 international financial institutions to respond to the global food security crisis in 2022. Today, we are glad to report that ADB is on track in achieving the food security financing target, registering $7.2 billion commitment in 2022 and 2023. Our financing is likely to exceed the $14 billion target by 2025. We are also pleased to report that our board of directors recently approved ADB's updated capital adequacy framework, which will expand the bank's annual new commitment capacity by 40%. It will increase our current annual lending capacity of $26 billion to $36 billion, resulting in $100 billion in new funding capacity over the next decade. This would enable us to sustain our commitment to accelerate agri-food system transformation in our developing member countries. ADB strongly believes that a meaningful response to food crisis must recognize the triple threats facing Asia and the Pacific. First, climate change, biodiversity loss, and food insecurity. The first step is to overhaul agri-food system chain infrastructure to make it climate resilient. The infrastructure includes cold storage, warehouses, rural connectivity, and digital services that are accessible and affordable for farmers. The recent flooding in Pakistan showed the importance of building climate-resilient food storage, such as silos. Second, we must ensure that food production is climate smart by integrating natural resources management into efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and other similar approaches. Balancing productivity against climate change, adaptation, and mitigation outcomes demands a much broader perspective, covering the entire agri-food systems from production to processing, packaging, transportation, and finally to the consumers. Consumers' actually demands are very critical to bring them in to the fight against this climate change. That's really an important aspect that we tend to overlook. Third, we must deploy nature-based solutions to support agriculture production while helping to regenerate ecosystems. Nature-based solutions involve conserving or rehabilitating natural ecosystems and the enhancement of creation of natural processes in modified or artificial ecosystems. Delivering these and other solutions demands transformative change and innovation at every point along the agri-food systems. It will also involve behavioral changes in our consumer patterns. The role of the private sector will be crucial. Those smart investment in agriculture that deliver development impact as well as profit. We will continue exploring possible collaboration with FAO, international financial institutions, and the private sector to provide the food security needs of our developing member countries. ADB looks forward to working with you all in achieving a prosperous and food secure Asia and the Pacific. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ueda. Just, some sound bites, innovation, digital, affordable solutions, and I think bringing in the consumers and the dimension of the demand and how to shape the demand is incredibly important. And we tend sometimes to forget it in our analysis of the agri-food systems. We are done with this section, so I would just like to thank all the interveners for their ideas, their contributions. It has been fascinating to listen to all of you. I think, we have also heard the various dimensions of finance coming from the World Bank, the global, the regional banks, public, private, from MEGA, the de-risking aspects. And I think this is really what we would need to reflect at the country level. And hand in hand is the platform to integrate all those financial solutions as well. With this, I would like just to announce that the country hand-in-hand presentations will be 10 minutes late, and that you have here the agenda that could guide you to the various rooms where these presentations will take place. Thank you very much.